What's up, everybody? I'm Matt.
And I'm Beth.
And today we're going to be reviewing the interior in the 2022 Lexus NX. So the NX is all new here for 2022, a brand new generation. It's on the brand new platform that Lexus has. And on the outside, it doesn't really look like it's changed too much. They were very conservative with the way they redid the styling here. But on the inside, it's a radical departure from the previous NX. They've done all kinds of huge things with throwing out their little weird controllers that they used to have. It's now nice and easy with the touchscreen, and everything in here is just pretty nice and pretty modern feeling. And it's also interesting to note that even though this vehicle is one of the smaller ones in its segment, we still have really good interior space, and we'll talk more about that here in a little bit once we talk about the back seat and stuff. But overall, it really makes a statement, especially because of this massive 14-inch touchscreen, which is an option. You can get a smaller 9.8-inch screen, but the 14-inch screen really makes a big statement here.
And everything else around it is really, really clean and simple. You don't have too much flashing at you other than this big screen. So I think that that's really nice and slightly understated.
Yeah, I think it looks really nice, you know, and even like the wood is understated as well here, where it's this open pore wood, but it's like this like black ash kind of wood where it's, you know, very subtle. And, you know, all the materials and stuff are pretty typical Lexus, where they feel pretty nice. Not quite as nice maybe as like the interior of a Mercedes or an Audi or something, but still very nice, very solid, and, you know, very appropriate for, you know, the luxury segment. But anyway, first thing, sitting down in these seats, you have these nice, soft, comfortable seats here. They're perforated. I love the styling you have. You can get a bunch of different interior colors too, which is kind of fun. You can get, you know, just straight black seats. You can get them here with this little white portion. There's also full tan seats. You can even get red leather seats if you want. It's nice that they're giving you a decent amount of interior colors, which is kind of refreshing because some others don't really do that too much in this segment. But all the usual adjustments here, and they also do have heating and cooling here. And depending on which trim you get, that is going to vary. Now, we are in an NX 450h Plus, so this is the top plug-in hybrid one, and as tested, this one's about $60,000, which is really like the absolute max you're going to be able to get an NX up to. Realistically, most other NXs are going to be, you know, mid to high 40s into like the mid to high 50s. And yeah, I just think they're nice, comfortable seats.
Yeah, they're definitely comfy, and the passenger does get all of the power controls that the driver gets, so that's really nice as well.
Yeah, and that is great because you'd be surprised, even in the luxury segment, sometimes they don't always get all the same features. So it's really nice that you have that. The steering wheel here in the NX is also really nice, just a nice 9.3 grip, good little 10 and 2 notches here. I like the orange stitching here on this one, and nice smooth leather too. It just feels really expensive. You just have a few buttons here on the wheel, and they're a little confusing with what they do. If you have a head-up display like this one does, these buttons actually just control everything on the head-up display, and they're just kind of touch sensitive, and it's a little bit of a learning curve. Everything with this car, I've noticed, kind of has a little bit more of a learning curve. This is one of the few vehicles where I actually had to bust out the owner's manual to figure a couple of things out, which doesn't happen very often for me because I'm driving a new car every week. Usually I have to have a pretty quick learning curve with everything, but this car was one where you got to learn the features a little bit. It's a little different than most of the other stuff out there. But anyway, once you learn it, it's not too bad, and it's also heated steering wheel here, which is a nice feature here. Moving on to the gauges here, though, in the NX. So first off, you have the normal gauge cluster here, and it's a nice gauge cluster. It's only partially digital, though. You'll see you have on the left and the right there, this being the plug-in hybrid version, you have a battery gauge and a fuel gauge. Those portions are not digital, so it's just this smaller little space. And it just feels a little cheap in this segment, considering most of the other competitors in this segment at least offer full digital gauges as an option if they're not standard. It's okay, it's just not best in class as far as the gauges go. But they're nice and simple with the way you have the readouts and all that. But the only other strange thing is that it's also hard to find like some of your basic stuff. Like I was looking for a basic trip computer to just compute my fuel economy over the amount of miles that I've driven, you know, just resetting that to track my fuel economy this week. And there's no way to track that. There is no trip computer. You have your little odometer that you can reset, but aside from that, there's no way to do simple things like that. So it's kind of overcomplicated in some ways and then nicely simplified in others. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but you know, it does all the basics well enough. But then that head-up display is very functional, again, because you have all these functions built in with the steering wheel control. So, you know, it can obviously show you all your safety tech and all that kind of stuff. But then on the left side here, it has, like, that's the only way you actually do your voice control, is you hover your finger on this one little part on the D-pad. But it's just kind of strange that you have to use the head-up display. So, you know, it is nice to show you your safety tech and, you know, your speed and all those types of things as well. So it works really well. It's a nice large head-up display and all that, but the head-up display, by the way, is only an option if you go for a lower trim of the NX. You do not get a head-up display, and then, you know, things get a little more traditional, and so that's a welcome little change. But coming over to the center of the dashboard here, you have this 14-inch touchscreen, and it's very impressive. It's running the brand new Lexus and Toyota infotainment software, so it's completely rethought from the ground up. There's a large emphasis on voice commands, but honestly, I don't really use voice commands very much, but it still is just very nice and easy to use all week, mostly because I think the way they set this up is very smart, where you have the climate controls constantly being showed no matter what you're doing with the radio or smartphone integration or whatever. You always have your climate controls right there, and you're able to mess with those very easily. And I do like having the physical knobs here, so you can change that very quickly and easily too if you want. As far as the infotainment system itself, I like how they also kind of simplified things here. So there's not a million sub-menus, it's not confusing like a lot of the German competitors. They have a lot of sub-menus and a lot of extra steps. This, it's like you hit the media button here, you pull up your favorite radio stations, and it's, you know, a 2-tap process. It's nice and simple. It all was very quick with booting up and everything. There was no issues. The only strange thing though is that this one does not have the navigation activated. This is a top 450h Plus. I think it should have navigation, but it's this weird subscription-based navigation, and I guess the subscription is just out on this brand new press vehicle for some reason. So I wasn't actually able to try out the navigation, but it has been reworked as well, and supposedly is much better. But really the best thing about this infotainment software is that it has this excellent integration of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This is the largest I've ever seen my iPhone icons. Like, it is massive for this, and so that means that whenever you're driving, it's actually a lot easier to use because they're so massive. And so, you know, in some other vehicles with tiny little, like for example the Volvo, you have this little vertical screen and this tiny little CarPlay thing. Trying to hit like a button on Waze or navigating or something like that is so hard compared to this, where you have this massive thing and you pull it up and it's just so easy to, you know, do whatever you want to do. If you're trying to find songs to play, whatever the case is, this is hands down the best smartphone integration I've ever encountered in a car so far. It is just fantastic, and it's just really cool too to have this enormous mirroring of your phone here on the screen. And I also love how it doesn't obscure the climate controls. You still have full access to that. And so honestly, the entire week I just drove around with CarPlay. I never even used the actual Lexus software. I just used CarPlay because that's what most people want to do, right? You want to play music through your phone, you want to navigate through your phone, you just do all that stuff usually through your phone the best anyway. So it's kind of irrelevant how the other stuff works, because it's just, this is excellent, and I'm so glad they focus on making that a really good experience.
But one thing I will say is that it is tilted towards the driver, so continuously all of these car companies are making everything extremely driver-centric, which is great, but in a family vehicle, an SUV, I just think that it should be straight on. I understand the aesthetic of it being really cool, but I just think that it should be more straightforward.
Yeah, I don't know when car companies decided that everything should be driver-centric. You know, that makes sense for sports cars, but for family SUVs, yeah, it just seems a little strange to even have it like that.
And as a passenger, I can reach everything on this screen. It's very easy to do, but I just think that it's a little bit distorted for me, and I just don't like that. It bothers me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But one huge perk I gotta give Lexus is that they have the volume knob in the middle here. And that is something that we've complained about in so many cars, that the driver does not need a volume knob while also having volume controls on the wheel. It's like redundant to have two driver-centric controls, and so I'm so happy that they are the first company that I've seen, outside of some of the other Germans and stuff, have volume controls down here by the shifter, but this is the first one that actually has it in the middle of the touchscreen, and I think that that's brilliant that they've done that, to at least give the passenger a little bit of consideration.
Yeah, and see, in my car, I have a Mercedes C300, and they do have the volume rocker at the side of the passenger. So I just think that it's, you know, a little bit nice to be able to give the passenger some kind of access to the music controls.
But, you know, good job Lexus for putting it in the middle there. That's great. And other car companies, though, take note. Take notes from Lexus here. This is how it's done. Put it in the middle. I think that way everyone's happy. So that's really nice they've done that. But anyway, moving on to the rest of the stuff here. You'll see just a little mode selector here for your drive modes. And I also love how this area has nice soft padding here for the driver, at least, where you have a little bit of leather here. It's not super plush, but it's better than nothing. And some of the other competitors do have actually nothing here, so nice to have something there. But then it's also this very cool little arrangement where by that drive mode selector, you'll see this tiny little slot, which is really shallow and honestly really only good for the key. You'll see a regular USB jack and then a USB-C jack for charging. You also have a Qi wireless charging pad in this one. That is, again, an option, I believe. But the cool thing is you can slide this back, and then you have a nice deep extra center cubby there, which you can still use even while you're having this wireless charging pad, because there's clearance there. Your phone can still lay on there while you slide that out of the way. There's another power outlet in there. But just nice extra space there. So this, still is pretty good storage space, to compete with all the other SUVs out there. It's not best in class with storage space, though. There are stuff like the RDX we just reviewed that has a massive bin under the transmission tunnel kind of area here. This doesn't have anything like that, but still a nice little bonus space nonetheless. And then you have the center armrest, which is nice and got some good padding to it. Nice thick padding there. And you open that up and you'll see you have a good size bin there. And the cool thing is that it opens up on the passenger side as well. So another nice consideration for the passenger. And so that's why I really got to give Lexus kudos. They're thinking about the passenger more than a lot of the others, and so nice they have that too. And then lastly, you also do have nice large pockets here in your doors with a bottle holder, so great to have all that.
But speaking of doors, these doors also have a very interesting handle. It is where a handle should be, but it's very interesting. You have to press the button instead of pulling it where you normally pull it in most cars to open it up. There's definitely a learning curve to that, and I don't know if it's super exciting. You can also pull it, which apparently is an emergency pull. I don't know. So it's definitely very interesting to me. That's also in the back seats, and for kids, I feel like that's going to be super confusing.
Another interesting thing, there's a couple interesting little choices with this vehicle. So I'm not sure if it's just specific to the 450h Plus 4 right now because of production stuff or what, but this one, for example, only has the small moonroof. You can get a panoramic roof in the regular hybrid and other versions of the NX, but for some reason it's not available here in the 450, at least as of the time of us filming this now. So you just have a small little moonroof. That is a little less competitive than some of the other stuff, like the Acura RDX comes standard with a panoramic roof in all trims. And also, one last thing to mention is other versions of the NX offer a Mark Levinson stereo upgrade, which is 17 speakers. Mark Levinson stereos are usually very good. Unfortunately, here in this 450 version, there's no way to get any kind of stereo upgrade. So you're stuck with a 10 speaker stereo here in this model in particular, and it sounded good. It wasn't amazing, again, especially for the luxury segment where a lot of the press vehicles I'm testing have the upgraded stereo.
But for that 60 grand, what are we spending it for, Yeah,
I mean, you're definitely paying a premium for, the plug-in hybrid thing and all that. But I feel like 60 grand would be a little bit nicer to have those extra features you'd probably be expecting in a fully loaded model like this. But just, that could change. We're not sure, why that's omitted from the 450s here, but just one little thing to mention for right now. But anyway, moving on to the back seat here. It's actually more roomy than you would expect. Again, this is one of the smallest vehicles in its class, and yet me being 5'9", sitting behind myself, I still have like 3 to 4 inches of legroom to spare back there, which is more than I was expecting to have. I also have a decent amount of headroom back there, and it's a nice, soft, comfortable back seat. You also will see when you look forward, they have their own air vents back there, as well as some more USB-C jacks for charging, but strangely also no rear heated seats. That is something, again, you can get in other versions of the NX. Just for some reason, the 450h Plus fully loaded does not have heated rear seats. You also have a fold down center armrest with 2 cup holders built into it and pockets in those doors as well. And we did have our baby seat in the back there as well. It's a rear facing, one of those big large car seats, and it actually fit back there pretty well. And even with about an inch or so of clearance for this back of the seat, the front passenger, at least me, again, being 5'9", I still had about 2 or 3 inches of legroom to spare as well. So again, don't be discouraged if you're like, oh, this one's on the small side, it's gonna be a little bit tight. It seems like it's just as much space on the inside here, legroom wise at least, as what we had in the Acura RDX that we just had last week. So I think it's better than expected as far as accommodations in here.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I had enough legroom when sitting in the front with her, so I think it was okay.
Moving on to the trunk space here in the NX. That is a pretty good amount of space. Now, it doesn't look like it's much bigger than before, but it is about 5 cubic feet more space than the old NX, so a nice little improvement there. And, it's a good amount of space. Again, I think the RDX does have it beat as far as just the amount of volume you have back there, but you have a good amount of space still for this segment. And then beneath the floor, you'll see an extra bin here. This, again, being the plug-in hybrid one. One of those bins is taken up by a battery, and so you have a little bit less space, but in other NXs, you would have multiple bins under the floor there. They're still not quite as big as the bins you get in the RDX. So I still think the RDX has the advantage in the cargo space arena, but a good amount of cargo space here as well. But anyway, that's about all of our thoughts here on the interior of the NX. Overall, I think they did a really good job. I got to commend them for giving it a brand new touchscreen, brand new infotainment, saying, hey, it's okay, we're going to get rid of our touchpad. We realize people are moving away from that stuff and they want touchscreens. And being able to make that change is something that's admirable, because a lot of the other car companies are still clinging on to their controller wheels or their controller touchpads, like Acura. We complained about that. I really have to respect Lexus for being like, you know what? Everyone's going for touchscreens. Let's do the same. There's no shame in going with the trends, and I really think they did an excellent job on this new touchscreen and this whole interior in general. But anyway, that's all of our thoughts on the NX interior. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks to Lexus for providing us here with this NX review for you guys today. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care.